Hello, welcome to a video where we use the quotient rule to find the derivative of an expression that has a square root in the numerator. So, to find the derivative of this function, the square root of x over 1 plus 3x, we're going to have to use the quotient rule, and I know this because our function is a fraction. As a reminder, the quotient rule tells us that to find the derivative of a fraction like this, it's going to be the bottom times the derivative of the top minus the top times the derivative of the bottom divided by the bottom squared. Low d high minus high d low, square the bottom, and there you go. So, writing it out for this problem, it's going to be the bottom, low, plus the derivative of the top, so it's going to be 1 plus 3x times the derivative of the square root of x, then minus high d low. So, the square root of x as it is times the derivative of 1 plus 3x all over the bottom squared, so all over 1 plus 3x quantity squared. Now it's time to take these derivatives. So 1 plus 3x times the derivative of the square root of x. The derivative of the square root of x is 1 over 2 square roots of x. You can see that for yourself if you want. We can see that the square root, the derivative of the square root of x is the same as taking the derivative of x to the 1/2 power. And by applying the power rule, that's going to become 1/2 times x to the 1/2 minus 1 power, which means it is 1/2 x to the negative 1/2 power. And that is the same as 1 over 2 times the square root of x. So that is why the derivative of the square root of x is 1 over 2 times the square root of x. Continuing on with applying the quotient rule, we've now done low d high, 1 plus 3x times the derivative of the square root of x. So let's continue. 1 plus 3x times the derivative of the square root of x minus the square root of x times the derivative of 1 plus 3x. The derivative of 1 plus 3x is just 3. That's the number in front of the x. The derivative of 1 will be 0 because it's a constant. This is all over the bottom squared, 1 plus 3x squared. Notice that I'm not multiplying this out. Generally speaking, when you're using the quotient rule, it does not help to multiply out the denominator. It's helpful to just keep it the way it is. All right, let's continue to do some simplification. I'm going to move this fraction through, and at this point we're in algebra world. We just need to be careful about what we're doing. So I could write that as 1 plus 3x over 2 square roots of x, just combining the fractions together. And I'll rearrange the order. I'll write minus the square root of x times 3 instead as 3 square root of x, just because that makes things look a little nicer. And now what I'm going to need to do is I'm going to try and simplify the numerator of the fraction first. So finding common denominators means that I need the bottom of I need the 3x to have a denominator of square root of 2x. So that means I'm going to multiply the top and bottom of the second term in the numerator by 2 square root of x. So this gives me 1 plus 3x over 2 square root of x on that side, minus 3 times 2 is 6. The square root of x times the square root of x is just x over 2 square root of x. And now I have common denominators, and therefore I can combine these two together. This is going to become 1 plus 3x minus 6x, 1 plus 3x minus 6x, all over 2 square root of x, and then that whole thing is over a 1 plus 3x squared. The thing in the denominator is not really ever going to change. We just got to keep copying it through. Okay, so we can do a little bit more simplification on the numerator. This 1 plus 3x minus 6x is going to become 1 minus 4x over 2 square root of x all over 1 plus 3x squared, 3x quantity squared. And so to simplify this, the last stage, we can remember that this 1 plus 3x quantity squared, we could write that as 1 plus 3x quantity squared over 1, which means we can simplify this by looking at the reciprocal. 1 minus 4x squared of 2x on top, and then times the reciprocal of the denominator of the large fraction. That's 1 over 1 plus 3x quantity squared. And then there we go. Just simplifying this slightly means just combining the denominators, not gonna multiply anything else. This is the simplified form of the derivative. So, to find the derivative of the square root of x, 1 plus 3x, we had to use the quotient rule. When finding the derivative of the square root of x, we ended up kind of creating ourselves a complex fraction. To deal with the complex fraction, you just need to make sure everything in the big numerator has the same common denominator, deal with that, and then deal with the complex fraction. Hope you found this helpful.